In a great book that I just finished called Tattoos of the Heart by Father Gregory Boyle, a Jesuit from Los Angeles, he said this in his book: "Mistakenly, I think we've come to believe that the narrow gate is about restriction. The way is narrow, but it really wants us to see that narrowness is the way. It's about funneling ourselves into a central place. Our choice is not to focus on the narrow, but to narrow our focus. The gate that leads to life is not about restriction at all. It is about an entry into the expansive. There is vastness in knowing you're a son or daughter worth having." End of quote. Father Boyle works with gang members in LA, giving them opportunities for jobs and just being with them, and though they begin to discover their value as sons or daughters of God. Sometimes we think, of course we are, but do we really know it down deep? Do we have that narrow focus of knowing the great love that God has for us and that we're in His very life? And so to help make a little more sense of what Father Boyle is saying, I have this little illustration. So advertisement of Capital One where it says, "What's in your wallet?" I'm going to say, "What's in your bag?" What's in your bag? Too much work, too much play, too much worry and anxiety, too much time on the computer, Facebooking, too much time on the phone, texting, snapshotting, whatever you do with the phone. The list could go on and on and on. Too much concern about comparing yourself to others. What's in our minds and our hearts most of the time? What's in your bag? What's in my bag? So if I try to get through the door over here with my bags, I'll never fit. So I have to narrow my focus. It's not like I stop doing all these things, but what comes first? That's the question. It's my relationship with Christ. And if I really develop that relationship, then everything else, all those other things in my bag, are going to find their proper place. And then I can go through this door and go through the next door, and there it is, the outdoors, vast and expansive. So, like Father Boyle said, our life is not about restriction when we say narrow gate. The narrow gate is our central, what is the focus of our lives? What's the primary focus? And then it is a narrow gate, but it opens up into vastness. The love of God is beyond imagining. And to imagine how we're connected to every human being. We're connected to all of creation because God created all of those things. And the value that people have, that there is no one that has less value than another. I always think of the image when the first President Bush, his funeral just a couple years ago, just all the pomp and circumstance, which is appropriate for the office of president and the person that held that. But someone who was gunned down in Chicago is just as valuable as President Bush. That's what we have to remember. The vastness of God takes in every single human being and all of creation, and it's valuable. We need to narrow our focus on what matters most. Life in God and life that we have with each other. And then all those other things just need to fall off to the side. So, I don't know if it'll work. Instead of saying, "What's in your wallet?" this week, let's say, "What's in your bag?"